Welcome to the King Connections podcast. I'm your host, King, and I'm joined by my guest, who is a author as well as a small business um, advisor and consultant. How you, Altovise Pelzer? How you,
Hey, hey.
did I get that right?
Altovise Pelzer. Close.
Close. Okay, forgive me. I'm going to work on that. Forgive me. So, how you doing today?
I am doing great. It has been a phenomenal day today. I'm looking forward to this discussion as well.
Excellent, excellent. Well, the way I like to get things started, just really kind of set the context, is to kind of ask what your spiritual energy number is, from a range from 0 being life sucks to 10 being life is awesome. So, where would you say you are currently right now?
Right now, I have to say that I'm about an 8.5.
8.5. Good. All right. And the reason I ask that question is because I truly believe, like Einstein says, that everything is energy and energy is everything. And I ask that question because when I have my meetings or when I'm doing my presentations or anyway, I'm always assessing the energy of the people in the room. So if I get a lot of people who are twos and threes, then I suggest we don't have the meeting because it's not going to be a very productive meeting. Folks are not going to be engaged. They're not going to be present. They're going to be adversarial. But when people are 7 through 10, then they're going to be present, engaged, and miracles can happen from the conversation. So thank you for indulging me with that.
Most definitely.
All right, excellent, excellent. I love the energy you're bringing to the call so far. So let's go ahead and continue. So my first question I love to ask is, what do you see as your higher purpose in life?
So now that's a loaded question, but because I have to say that for me, different phases of my life, I've had a different purpose.
Hmm.
And so right now, my youngest daughter just graduated high school and left for college. So I'm at a different phase. And I'm just getting into this phase and understanding it. But for me, it's going all in on being able to unmute women, to help
Hmm.
them tell their story, to help them understand their story and stand firmly. So that way, when they get into a situation where they're telling someone their story, they don't have to cower thinking, how is this person going to respond? What's going to be the next words that come out of their mouth? Are they going to believe me? And so I've gone like head first into everything that I do when it comes to my business, so that way I can be in the position to do just that.
Excellent. I love that. You said helping women to unmute themselves. Is that the term you use?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So now here's the next question I love to ask because I see you by reading your bio and having a conversation with you previously and the work you doing, your higher purpose as being a conscious leader. But I know how different people define conscious leaders in different ways. So I always like to ask a person who I'm interviewing how they themselves define a conscious leader.
I would have to say a conscious leader is going to be one that understands themselves. It's easy for us to understand everything that's going on around us. We have Uncle Google and Aunt YouTube to learn everything and anything under the sun, okay? But it takes a whole lot more discipline. It takes a whole lot more tenacity to do the work on you.
Mm,
Um, for me, that's when I can look to someone and say, yeah, I see the leadership in you. I see that, I see who you are 100% because I know that you've done the work to see who you are. Because here's the thing, it doesn't mean we're going to be perfect,
right.
but it does mean that I'm going to own up to my stuff. I'm going
Absolutely.
to own up to the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm going to own up to my stuff. And I can't be a conscious leader and not own up to who I am 100%, whether I like something or dislike something, whether it agrees with who you are and what you do or not. I still have to understand who I am as an individual, because if not, then I'm not, there's no understanding there. I can't go any further than what I know and understand about myself.
That's an excellent answer. I can definitely see that and understand that clearly. My next question is, of the things that you've achieved in your life, accomplishments, discoveries, what would you say that you're most grateful for?
So this one's going to get a little emotional. So sorry, not sorry for those listening in.
That's okay.
My biggest achievement has been healing the relationships within my family.
Hmm.
And doing so through my daily actions, doing so through working on myself, having conversations, difficult conversations sometimes, but it's been healing the relationships with those that I love and showing them that there's something better. For many, many years, as an introvert, I am not the one that would want to start a conversation. Heck, I don't even want to be in conversation with y'all. I don't even want to be in the room sometimes. Leave me, let me be by myself. Let me have my small groups, right?
Right.
But I found that I had to be able to have the difficult conversations. I had to be able to say when I was wrong. And that's interesting because, especially as a parent, let's be honest, most parents won't say when they're wrong.
That's right.
Because there's this thought process that I have to be perfect as a parent. And I had to learn over time that I don't have to be perfect in anything. There is no perfect anyone. The only perfect one was Jesus. That's it. That's it, boo. That's all you got. So if you're looking for perfection in me, then I can't help you. But what I can be is in a place of progressing, doing better than what I did before, being better than who I was. And so with me doing the work that I've been doing, I have influenced like one of my aunts to be able to tell her story and publish 5 books. That's healing relationships.
Absolutely.
Because when we tell our story, now we can elevate the other relationships that we have. And people watching us, they take in that stuff and they go, okay, let me use that. Let me reciprocate that. I see what you're doing. I may not understand it because she did tell me on several occasions, and still to this day, will tell me, I don't understand all that you're doing, but keep doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And understanding you more, and this is a question, these first initial questions are already getting a better understanding of who you are as an individual. What 3 behavior traits that you possess would you say best describe who you are?
Okay, so there will be times where I eat dessert before dinner.
Okay.
And usually it's a brownie with ice cream and nuts. Just putting that out there for anybody who may be listening who want to send, something my way.
Does it matter? Does it matter what flavor ice cream?
Butter pecan is my favorite, but I can do other flavors, but butter pecan is the top.
Okay.
So I do eat dessert before dinner at times. I listen more than I speak. I'm the person that measures 9 times to cut once. Now, that can be a good thing and a bad thing, but that is who I am. The other thing is, I value my peace. And I will protect it at all costs. So if that means that I got to cut you off to have my peace, I'm going to choose my peace every single time.
I understand and respect that. Thank you for sharing that. Now, the next question, kind of shifting into your company and some of the business work that you do. I'm curious to know, what was your purpose for funding the World Voice League?
It was an opportunity to step outside of my comfort zone. In 2015, it was the first time that I had ever told anyone that had been molested as a child. And it was in a intense conversation with my oldest daughter. And I kind of blurted it out because I am the mother of two amazing young women now, who are victors over molestation. And I had never told anyone that I had been molested, but I still had to help my children heal from molestation and try to go through this process. And I think that's where a lot of us are. You know, we want to help people, but we're still wounded. Like, we haven't fully healed, and it's a hard process. And so when I went through that process, afterwards, my daughter told me that that was one of her most proud moments because it made her feel like she wasn't alone. That was, at that moment, was when the seed was planted for World Voice League. Because one of the things, when you become muted, the reason you're muted it can literally run the gambit. But most times you're muted because you feel like nobody wants to hear you. Nobody will believe you. Nobody will understand you. And so you get to a point where you say, why bother? And I understood that it wasn't just happening in my hometown. It wasn't just happening in my country, but it was happening all over the world. And I made a conscious decision that I was going to go ahead and do this. Now, again, this is the introvert. This meant I had to be in the forefront. It meant I had the people. I had to go to events and talk and do all of these things. And I said, I'm willing to make the sacrifice of coming outside of my comfort zone in order for me to help people become unmuted, because it's needed.
That's powerful, personal. So I definitely appreciate you sharing that. And I love the term unmuted as well. I just love that term. Now, did that also inspire you to become an author?
Oh, yeah. Look, this is the funny thing. I've been writing since about middle school. And I still have poetry that I wrote in middle school and high school. I won't read it to y'all because I'm not going to put myself out there like that. But I have always been someone that loved to write. But again, as the introvert, I was never someone to get on a stage and actually like do spoken word and things like that. But I would write it out. And so I had a book after going through everything with my girls, finding out they were molested, going through the court case, moving 2 states away from everybody I knew so that way they could have a better life. All of those things, I kept saying, I need to tell this story. I need to go ahead and this was my process of unmuting myself. I need to go ahead and tell this story. And so for 8 years, I dragged my feet. But in 2016 was right after I went through this whole situation with telling my daughter, I decided, you know what? It's time to get the story out there. And in that first year, I published 4 books.
First year, 4 books. Wow.
4 books.
That's some work.
Yeah, right? And it was like every time I published, someone else came up to me and said, thank you for telling your story, because it was basically my story. Thank you for sharing this because it helped me to see this. Or at one point I was live streaming, like I live stream now with a different focus. But I was live streaming every day, 6:30 in the morning, live streaming. And I literally had people that would come see me at events and say, thank you, because that got me through the hardest, moment in my life before my mother died. Thank you, because I had never told anybody about me being molested, and that's the reason why me and my family don't talk. Like I had all these people who I didn't know from a can of paint. They weren't even people that were liking my post or commenting or anything, but they were listening. And so I realized that there are some people that they need to hear it. There are some people that they need to read it. There's some people that you kind of need to shake them. But I knew that, okay, writing books was going to be one of the ways that I leave my fingerprint on any place that I step foot in, because people can go ahead and read even some of the things that I'm not able to share in that particular time and space. So yeah, 20 books to date, 20 books from 2016 until 2022.
Well, that kind of work ethic and workload is definitely impressive. So, pleasure meeting you and learning that how you turn that pain into something that has been just leading you and guiding you to serve and be of someone that people can connect to, and actually you're touching people's lives in so many ways. So, definitely congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a humbling space to be in for sure.
Now, as we continue to talk about your work, what small business training services do you provide?
So here's the tea. I help women to become unmuted in so many different aspects. Some of them tell a story, some of them write a book, some of them become a speaker. But when it comes to the business piece, I help them to take their story and make it the cornerstone of their business.
Hmm.
So that means that if I'm, if I dealt with homelessness, then that may be the cornerstone of my business. And if I build, if I go ahead and have a bakery, then I can take the bakery that I created and tie it into me being able to go back and help the homeless community.
Hmm.
Now, you may not want to have a day where you shut down and you just make things and because it's a lot of sweets. It may not be what you want to do, but you may take a day of the week or one day a month, and any money that's made during that day, you go and you buy food and you go and feed the homeless, you and your team, your employees. Like there's so many different ways. And I help women to be able to see that, because now the business is not just a business where I'm making money to go ahead and pay my bills, but the business is funding something that again connects to that cornerstone, which is part of your story. And so it can be anything. I know that I have a client that I work with who she's a stylist. She's been a stylist for years, has her own salon, amazing. And now she's like, okay, I want to shift because there's some other pieces to it. So she's doing this whole thing where it's more than just hair, because it
Hmm.
is. She just published a cookbook. She goes live and she shares about her, her fitness, because sis look good. She look good. Okay. Uh, and it's there's so many women who are in that same that space in their
Hmm.
50s and their 60s, and they're like, oh, it's my life is over, it's the end. No. And through her telling her story, she's showing up and showing women, no, come on, we still got life, we still got stuff to do, we can do anything and everything. And again, so it's helping them to be able to become unmuted. And so it may be, okay, let's set up your social media posts, so that way you're telling your story through your social media posts. Let's write a book, let's get you in front of different places, let's get you on podcasts. But it's literally setting up that process for a 90 days. What are we going to do? So that way your story it becomes that cornerstone and you can share it out with the world.
Hmm. I definitely respect and see the need for that. Absolutely. Now, do you only work with women? Is that your demographic? That
No,
you're only
I
working
work
with?
with men as well, because I have had men that I have worked with. It's funny because um, my first anthology that we put out through the company, through my business, I had two men in it. And one of the men, his name is Michael. And when I tell you, man, I like to fell out and cried. But he actually wrote the poem that's in the front of that book. And then he told his story of being the father, um, when it came to losing their first child. Like what
Hmm.
being the husband and the father, what that felt like, what that looked like. Again, a conversation that most men don't always get to have.
Right.
And so he was telling that story and he was doing different things and he was live streaming, like he was doing all types of stuff. And it opened up so many things. Earlier this year, I received a text message from him. He said, "What's your email?" So I was like, okay, it's the email. All right, I can send you my email. He sent me two letters from the university that he used to attend. One asking him to come and speak. The second one, asking him to be on the panel, like be a part of the board for one of the areas that he's very familiar with in the school. He said, if I wasn't as vocal and seen, it wouldn't have even been an opportunity.
Right.
And I was just like, I cried like a big old baby. I sure did. I cried like a big old baby, because for that particular relationship, it's full circle, because we met years ago. We were at the same church, and at one point I was volunteering, and I remember this to the day. Like, I can remember it like it happened yesterday. I was behind the desk. I was volunteering at the church. And he looked at me and he said, "What else do you do?" And I was like, "Oh, I write." Now, mind you, this is before the first book ever was published. I'm like, "Oh, I write some stuff." He said, "Don't allow yourself to get stuck behind this desk." He said, "Whatever it is you're supposed to be doing, it's supposed to be great. Don't get stuck behind this desk." And I was like, "Oh, okay." You know how when somebody tell you something, you're like, "That's
Right.
cute."
Right.
That's cute. Didn't realize that he would take classes with me. He was in that book. He was part of that anthology. Now, this is the same person that went, and he encouraged me. I, in turn, encouraged him. He became a co-author in that book, and then published 2 more books after that one.
Wow.
And then all of these other things. The company that he worked for, they were like, "Hey, we see you live streaming. Hey, would you be interested in doing a podcast for the company?" What? I literally get so excited, because again, I see where all of the pieces are falling into place. And it's happened over a span of, I want to say this is a span of maybe 10 years. But that first book was 2016. And I've seen all of these other things happen. So yes, I have helped men as well. I've worked with men as well. And I get excited seeing men tell their story and go ahead and make that the cornerstone.
That's an excellent segue into my next question, which is, what are your thoughts about co-creating with other leaders, conscious individuals, to help them achieve their higher purpose as yours? I'm sorry.
No new friends. No. Like, no new friends. So here's the thing. It's an amazing space to be in, to be able to co-create. But you have to be able to understand where that person is. Because I found myself in spaces where I was open to co-create. Listen, I'm a supporter. When I support you, I support you. Trust and believe. Like, I have business relationships that I have been cultivating for years, okay? Because that's the type of person I am, and I'll support through and through. I literally today just received a package from Scotland from somebody that I have been collaborating with over the years and supporting. Like, it happens. It's available. The opportunity is there. But I also have to be very conscious of the fact that there are some people that take that and feel as though they can just use it and not put anything into the pot. And so over the years, I found myself having to be protective of the person that I am, because I'm such a supportive person, because I am the person that wants to pour into people and see people grow. And I'm like, this can be built and this can be built. Even to the point where I love index cards. And so, like, I have on my desk, my box of index cards, right? Because I'll get ideas, and immediately when I get the idea, I say, well, I don't know if this idea is for me or for someone else, but whoever it's for, let me come in contact with them so that way I can give it to them. Like, something as simple as that prayer, right?
Right.
Not something that most people would say, but again, even if it's not for me, whoever this is for, let me come in contact with them so I can give it to them, so I can share it. Everybody's not like that. And you
They're
have
not.
some people that have that spirit of, it's all about me. Who, that's dangerous.
It
Because yes,
is.
we'll take advantage of the situation. But I love being able to collaborate. I love being able to put my mind with somebody else's mind, put my ideas with somebody else's tenacity, and say, okay, how can we light a flame under this and send it up into the sky?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to your point, I'm a person who definitely believes in making the right connections and being a giver first. So I found the best way to get rid of individuals and to find out who takers are, it's a give first. Because then you can quickly see who's going to reciprocate, as your point, who's going to make deposits into your account, or who's going to continue to take withdrawals. And you learn that very quickly because takers can't help themselves. They just keep coming back and taking and taking. So that's powerful. That's a powerful life lesson. Glad that you're sharing that because that's definitely in line with how I think and how I function as well. And it helps me to begin to really make the best connections. This is kind of what I do in my business. But I have one more quick question about your writing, because again, I'm working on being an inspiring author myself. And I'm curious to know, what do you enjoy most about being an author? Someone who's written 20 books in 5 years, 6 years, I believe.
So I can tell you, so there's two different things I will say. The one, when it comes to being a co-author, is seeing the vision take flight.
Mm.
Because you're bringing all of these stories together, and my story may help somebody. Somebody may buy a book from another co-author and my story helps them.
Mm.
And so I love seeing the vision take flight when it comes to being able to be in a book and its co-authors. For my personal books, so first and foremost, when you get that first copy of the book in your hand, that is one of the most powerful experiences and feelings that you will ever feel.
Mm.
Because we always talk about how the grave is the most, that's the richest place on earth, is the graveyard, because so many people took so many things to the grave. That's a lie. We have billions of people in the world. Billions of people. The richest place are literally in your own backyard sometimes. They're in your city. They're in the state. They're literally. And the way that we find out is through books. A book will be here for forever. One of the most powerful things that I saw, that we all got to see, Cicely Tyson, an amazing woman, an amazing actress. I mean, she was doing her thing.
Right.
And just before she died, she published her book. She didn't know she was going to die. But she shared so many amazing stories in her book that will empower and inspire generations to come. There will
Absolutely.
be, right? There will be colleges that may go back, and talk about different actors and actresses and go specifically to her book and study it. We don't understand just how much of an impact it makes. But man, when that book is in your hand, that feeling is amazing. It is so amazing.
Absolutely. Now, I noticed that as any individual, we make hundreds of decisions every single day. And throughout our lifetime, we make millions of decisions. I'm curious to know, has there been one decision that you've made in your life that has been the most meaningful and the most significant that you can think of right now?
Oh, I got a good one for you. I hope you're ready for this one. So I had that conversation with my daughter in 2015. And I said 2016 was going to be new year, new me. Literally, I was like, that's it. I'm publishing the books. I'm going to speak. I started learning how to live stream, started doing stuff with business. I started getting certifications, life coaching certification, business certification, all of this stuff. And I was ready to go. December 31st of 2015, I was evicted from my home as a single mother of 4, pulling all my stuff onto the curb and put all my stuff into storage and moved into the second bedroom of a 2-bedroom apartment with my kids. And January 1st, I had a decision to make because I had already planned for a flight. Do I take that flight or do I have my pity party? Because I had every right to have my pity party.
Right.
I'm homeless with 4 kids. 3 of my kids and my youngest sister, who I was actually in the time fighting for custody of because she had been put into the foster care system. That's a whole other discussion for another episode. But January 1st, I have a decision to make. Do I go ahead and take this flight or do I have my pity party? And for the first time ever, I decide to move forward in spite of what my current circumstances look like. That was very hard because I looked crazy. Sis, you just put all your stuff in storage and you going where? You going to take a flight.
Right.
And you're not even taking your kids. So somebody is watching your kids and you taking a, what? First flight, no problem. My second flight, there's no group number on my ticket. Now, I'm a creative and I can make up a story in a drop of a hand. Look, I can make up a story. In my mind, I'm going to jail because it's a fake ticket. Even though they printed out the ticket and handed it to me, I'm going to jail. It's a fake ticket. But I go to the booth. I let them know there's no group number on my ticket. They say, oh, no problem. Just go in with group 2. Okay. So I'm waiting and they call group 2. I get up. I'm standing in line. And while I'm in line, they call my name. My mind went left. Oh my goodness, I'm looking out the window to see if the TSA is dropping down from a helicopter. Is one of them little carts coming through? They come in with handcuffs. I know I'm fitting to get arrested right now. I don't look good in orange. What is happening? I get to the booth and they hand me a brand new ticket. First class.
Wow.
So I'm technically flying homeless in a first class seat. That made me not second guess when it was time for me to make decisions because I never knew when a first class ticket was going to be there. I never knew when an upgrade was going to be there. I didn't ask for a first class ticket. I wasn't like, oh, I need a first class. I wasn't even thinking about flying first class. Heck, I was just barely thinking about flying.
Right.
And here it is. I made that decision and that opportunity literally became a driving force for everything else I did.
Powerful story. That's definitely a lot of metaphors. I heard a lot of book titles. You probably already wrote a book title about it, but yeah, that's definitely powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Mm-hmm. Now, question I'm going to kind of shift now towards going back to what I was getting to earlier about relationships. And as a connector who focuses on helping conscious leaders to build business systems and build strategic alliances with other conscious leaders, I had to come up with a set of key characteristics that I look for in establishing a new connection. As you mentioned before, I'm at the stage in my life where I don't want bad energy around me at all. And so I came up with 8 characteristics that I look for before I can make a connection with an individual. Not that they have to have all 8, but certain 3 that are deal breakers if they don't have those 3. And I'm curious to know the way you function, the way you think, and your way of doing service. You're a giver. Do you have any key characteristics that you look for when you're establishing new connections?
Yes. So one of the things that I look for when it comes to that the personality of a person that I'm looking to collaborate with is, are they confident? Here's why I look for that. When it comes to us coming together, you have to bring your own confidence and I have to bring mine. I can't be confident for both of us. Now, granted, there will be times where your confidence may wane a little bit, and then I have to go ahead and pick you up. That's with any relationship. But if coming in, you don't have that confidence, we already have a problem. And it's interesting because for forever, we've heard the terminology, a relationship is 50-50. I don't want 50 of you. If we're building something together, I want full focus. I don't want 50% of your focus. Because if I have 50% of your focus, somebody else has the other 50%.
Right.
But when it comes to what we're doing together, what we're building together, no, I need your 50% to go up to 100%. I need you to put your all into this. Because here's the other thing. If you don't have that confidence, then you're not even confident that we're going to make this happen. You're already coming in looking for a way out, looking for a plan B, looking for your escape plan. I don't want you coming in looking for an escape plan. I want you to come in as if we stuck in this room. Whatever escape plan is going to be the one that happens after we complete whatever task we need to complete in this room. That's why one of the things I love about the escape rooms, I hollered the first time trying to do an escape room because we failed, and we failed beautifully. But when I tell you, when we were in that room, everybody was all in. Everybody was all in. Bold, confident, wrong. Bold, confident, wrong. It did not matter. We was doing a bank heist. And when I tell you bold, confident, wrong, we was in that escape room all wrong. We got almost we was close to completing it. But when I tell you we were all in, we were figuring things out. We was coming up with wrong answers. We was looking behind stuff that wasn't supposed to move off balls. Y'all, it was, listen, I know they was watching and laughing. They got a good giggle out of us. But that's what it should be about. That's how it should be.
Right.
We should come in ready to check under every nook and cranny to make this happen, ready to invest it all, ready to go ahead and be bold and step out of our comfort zone, ready to go ahead and shake down whatever tree we have to shake down in order for this to become a reality. And if we're not willing to do that, it's already going to fail. It's already going to fail.
I love that term, fail beautifully. I don't think she was going to say we failed miserably, but you switched that to beautifully. And
it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Well, we crashed and burned, but it was beautiful.
Hey, that's the best way. To me, you didn't fail, then you learned. You just experienced something, found out something that didn't work. But it's not a failure until you give up, is how I believe, right?
Exactly.
Now, I'm curious to know, and this is something else I do for clients of mine. I help them to connect to strategic partners because, as you know, we can't do these glorious things that make an impact in the world and our community, even if our neighborhood, by ourselves. So we had to co-create in order to make that happen. So I help my clients find strategic partners who are in line with their purpose and their principles. So I'm curious to know, who would be a great strategic partner for you to help you carry forth the work that you're doing?
I would have to say at this stage, it would be a partner that wants to go out into the world. And I have to say it that way because there are a lot of people that are comfortable where they are. They're comfortable with networking in their state. They're comfortable with networking in their city. I've become comfortable in networking globally. From the guests that I've had on the show to the connections that I've made. And so if someone their mindset is only what they can do in the state or what they can do here in the US, there's going to be some biases that you have against other places. Because that's not where your heart is. And that's okay. It's nothing wrong with that. But it has to be someone who's saying, I understand that there's things that need to be done here, but I understand also that there are global connections and global conversations that need to be had, because there are people that need what we have. And we can still do stuff here in the state. We can still do stuff here in the city. But how do we build this globally? How do we get over to India? How do we get over to the UK? How do we get to Canada? How do we get, like, how are we positioning ourselves to get our message to these areas, and then get into these areas, step foot on the ground in these areas, so that way we can go ahead and show up and make a difference.
Hmm.
I find it interesting when we look at a lot of the women that were doing like amazing things, that were single and weren't married. A lot of them moved out of the country. Those that, of course, they had roots here because they had, they had a husband and they had children and things like that. Some of them were a little, they're a little more hesitant. But even a single mother, if you look at Lisa Nichols, people started moving out of the U.S. or moving to islands, moving to other countries. Michelle McKinney Hammond, and they moved to other parts of the world because you can do a lot. But is this necessarily where the people need you the most?
Hmm.
And it's a hard decision to make for some people, because again, I want to help my people. I want to help my community. I want to help.
Right.
But there's so many other people that need help as well.
That's a good point. Definitely a great perspective as well. Now, I noticed that each time we've engaged, including today as well, you come on the call with a lot of enthusiasm. You're smiling, you have a beautiful smile, your spirit is vibrating positive energy. And I'm curious to know, are there certain morning rituals that you go through to kind of get yourself in this state of being?
Oh yeah. My morning starts at about 4:30, 5 o'clock. First thing I do is I actually pray Ephesians 6:10-18 over myself, putting on the full armor of God. And then I do my devotion. Usually around about 6 o'clock, I'm in prayer with a prayer group that I'm a part of. Um, After that, I start my day. I got little things that I'm doing, but also throughout the day, I find ways to make myself smile. So there's things that I do throughout the week, throughout the day, that pour into me. And it took me years to get to this point. So I'm glad that you asked this question. But like every week, I watch a documentary. And some of them are strange documentaries, but I learned something from all of the information that I'm gathering in. And I always take something from it that I can implement in business or in life. So I have the documentary. I watch the documentary each week. I do something that makes me smile or giggle or laugh every day. Whether it's something weird, like just going and laying and bothering and harassing my sister, or watching something on TV that's going to make me laugh. But I go ahead and I make sure that at some point I am purposely making sure that I laugh. I don't care what else is going on. All that, listen, everything could be crashing down. I got to find something to laugh at. And then the other one is I try to go for a walk. I was working on trying to do like 10,000 steps a day, but I try to go for a walk. So today I knew that I needed like some Windex. So my sister and I walked down to the Family Dollar, which is maybe like almost a mile away, and then walked back. I don't live in a place where we have sidewalks everywhere, so it makes for an interesting scenario when we walk places. But we'll go and walk and talk, and just go ahead and just have some real candid conversations, some interesting conversations. But that walking, I can go and walk and do 5 miles and just be in prayer, or listen to a podcast, or listen to a book on Audible. but I'm walking. And as I'm walking, I'm paying attention to my surroundings. I'm looking at the birds in the sky because we got vultures and they they creep me out. But if you ever see their wingspan, it's so beautiful watching them fly because their wingspan is pretty big. Like they're big.
Mm,
But watching them fly, it's beautiful, but it's also creepy because you're like, they're flying over something that's dead.
absolutely.
But like, I pay attention to my surroundings. I'm in an area where I may be walking and a rabbit will come out and hop across my path, or I've been walking and a family of ducks walked across where I was standing. Like, anything can happen at this point. But I love that. And, being able to go ahead and realize that I can just take a deep breath outside and I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm here. I'm alive. I have breath in my body. I have children that I love that love me. I have opportunities and I get to live the life that other people pray and dream about. Like there's so
Absolutely.
many people like even when we think about podcasting, there are people that are like, but no, but what's your job? Like, what do you where do you go to work? And I'm
Right.
like, uh, in my office? What do you mean? Where do I go to work? And they're like, no, like, but what do you do? I'm an influencer. I work with women. I have clients. I live stream. They're like, yeah, but no, but like, what job do you have? And I'm like, okay, they're not understanding that there's more to making money than just going to a 9 to 5 or going to work. I'm like, I worked retail for years. So I started working at 13. I worked for years. Yeah, there's other ways to work. There there are kids opening toys right now making millions of dollars. There's other ways to make money than just going
Absolutely.
to a job.
Absolutely. But based on what you describe, what you do, I wouldn't consider it work. I consider it serving.
Yeah, most definitely. And I actually found out that it's called a, oh my goodness, now I can't remember the name of it. It's a certain type, they have it named as a certain type of entrepreneur, a socialpreneur. That's what it is.
Hmm.
It's a socialpreneur. Somebody who the work that they're doing a business, but they're doing it in order to provide social change. And so I found that out, was like, that's me. That's me right there, socialpreneur.
And that's the only people I work with, to be honest. So absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh
Now, my
yeah.
next question, I'm going to set the context first before I give you a chance to
Uh-oh.
answer. And and the question is there a kin connection that you would like to meet? Now, what I mean by kin connection, I'm not referring to my company name or someone I'm connected to personally, but it's a term that I've given to an individual who's achieved a certain level of success, whether it's professional, career, or personal, who I admire. And I know that if I was able to connect with this individual, we can co-create something that would just be exponential impact on the world. Now, this could be celebrities, it could be authors. And the thing I'm asking this question is because as a system engineer, I'm a person that I believe everyone who's conscious is accessible. There's
Yes.
a way to get to these individuals. And I'm not talking about meeting this person as a fan where you just look at them and I want your autograph. No, I'm talking meeting someone and they see value in you equally because it's a process that I go through. And when you connect, you can say, let's co-create and we can make something very great happen. And so, for example, my king connection for me, one of my king connections would be Magic Johnson. I'm a
Mm.
developer. I build communities, and I believe him and I can do some great work. His basketball career is great, but I'm more an admirer and a fan of the work he's done since as a businessman, as a financial expert, as an advisor, as a mentor. And so now I turn that question over to you. With that being said, who would be a great king connection for you to meet?
So it's interesting because most people would say this person, but not for the same reason. But when you gave the explanation, immediately I thought of Oprah.
Mm,
Not because of her being Oprah, because of the schools that she has created in other parts of the world, the programs that she has instituted in other parts of the world for educating youth, as well as there is a school, the Ron Clark Academy. She does a lot with them, and that school, the dynamic of it is a powerful dynamic, because when we think about school for most students is very unenjoyable. But also they don't learn stuff that they're going to take with them out into the world. With that particular school, the Ron Clark Academy, I know that they do, like, they literally send kids to other parts of the world. These kids are coming out of school and they've been to other countries. Not to say, oh, look, let's take pictures, let's have fun. No, they're speaking to business leaders, they're creating their own businesses, they're doing all of these things. And so I understand that she knows the dynamic of seeing things differently when you're creating a structure that can help children be able to change the future. And so I would love to be able to work with her in that capacity. And instead of it being a school for just, for all children, but there are some other demographics that need some help when it comes to children in foster care, when it comes to children that have parents that are in the prison system. And so while they may be going to, a regular school, and that's fine, there's some other things that we're missing out that they're not getting, where they would be able to take that pain, that frustration, that anger, and be able to change it. And I think that there's a program that we could put together for them specifically that could help them come out of the system and and not have the trauma that most children who've been in the foster care system have, that allow them to heal and grow. If they have parents that are in the prison system, where most children, they go through and struggle when it comes to that. I think that would be the king connection that I would want.
Well, definitely appreciate you sharing that. You're right. A lot of people do say Oprah. Oprah is definitely one of my king connections, that you can have multiple, but like you said, different reasons. And that's where I believe when you meet these individuals and you come in with that kind of mindset, it's easier to build with people as opposed to just the leverage. You're here and they're there and you're looking at them as some kind of superhero. It's like, no, let's get to work. I admire the accomplishments you did, but I want to work with you. I want to do some things with you as opposed to just admire you in that context. So thank you definitely for sharing that. So my last question, and this question I usually, find I can get to know a lot about a person with this question. And this question is, of all the books that you read in your life, is there one book that you would want to say on our podcast to my listening audience? Here's a book that I felt that has the most impact and influence in my life, and I recommend that you read this book because it may give you the same energy, confidence, inspiration, whatever it is it gave you.
That's hard. um, I got two.
You can have two. Most
Okay.
people find
Okay.
it hard to have one, so I won't limit you to one.
Yeah. Okay. I got two, but I got two for two different reasons. The
Okay.
one is Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes.
Hmm.
Because most of us, there's this tug of war on the inside of us where we'll say yes for our children, we'll say yes for our spouse, we'll say yes for the church, we'll say yes for the job, but we won't say yes for us.
Hmm.
And she goes through her life and actually shares what it was like for her to start saying yes and showing up, and how that shifted things for her. Year of Yes, if you're an introvert, you need that book.
Hmm.
Year of Yes, if you're an extrovert, you may not see it as powerful. If you're the extrovert, the book for you, Extreme Ownership.
Hmm.
Ooh, baby, that book will make you shut up and sit down. Because when you think about in military, when when you are a person of high rank, the responsibility that is on your shoulders when you are in a mission, whoo, ooh, it's a lot. And we see why, like, we don't understand why people come back and they got PTSD and this and that. And some of it is because of the actual war, but some of it is because of what they actually have to endure with just being a part of that team, that unit. Even if they didn't see combat, there's still a lot that they go through. And you are, as someone who is high ranking, you are responsible for if the bombs are dropped in the right spot. You're even if it's not your fault that something glitched, and you're still responsible.
Right. Absolutely.
And that extreme ownership, that's powerful.
I haven't heard of those two books, but I definitely will look those books up. Like I said, I learned a lot from that question when I asked my guest that question. So we've come to the end of the interview, and I want to thank you for your investment of time and energy and joining me today on the King Connections podcast. I also want to give you an opportunity to share any closing thoughts that you may have with our listening audience, as well as your contact information for those who resonate with you, want to connect with you, and want to learn more, where they can buy your books and anything else they might want to build with you on.
Oh, most definitely. So connect. The one thing that I want to leave with you is it's okay to step outside of the comfort zone. I know it's scary. I know you may look around and say, I don't know these people, but it's okay to step outside of the comfort zone. Trust me, you'll be glad that you did. Connect with me by going to www.iamunmuted.com. iamunmuted.com. That's my website. You can catch a whole bunch of stuff there, the blog, the podcast. You can go ahead and connect as well. There is a contact form for you to be able to send me a message. Also, listen, I am all over social media. Definitely connect. But you can go ahead and check me out on Instagram at Altovise Unmuted. That's Altovise Unmuted on Instagram. And listen, DM me when you connect with me, so that way I accept it and follow back, because I am still an introvert. But DM me and let me know that you heard me on the podcast, and I'll definitely go ahead and follow you back.
Okay. Well, thank you, Altovise, for, again, being a wonderful spirit, a great guest, dropping wisdom, sharing personal stories that, you grew from, but at the same time, that were stories that's deep in your soul. But I believe that people are going to connect with that and resonate with that for years to come. So, again, I want to thank you for that. And I want to thank our listening audience. Absolutely. And I want to thank our listening audience for listening to another episode of King Connections podcast. I hope you feel the energy of these conscious leaders that we've been interviewing, and definitely connect with her. Look at the two books that she recommended, Extreme Ownership and The Year of the Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for sharing that. Again, thank everyone. I wish everyone until the next episode of King Connections podcast. I wish you a blessed and productive day. Thank you all.